Aprilia started off the 2025 MotoGP season with a special launch event at Sky's studios in Milan last week. Jorge Martin and Marco Bezzecchi showed up in Aprilia uniforms for the first time at the event, and the new technical director, Fabiano Sterlacchini, was there too. They also showed off the latest version of its MotoGP bike on stage, and the whole thing was broadcast live around the world. The RSGP 25 wasn't hidden from view after its introduction, which was pretty rare. Instead, Aprilia gave the visitors there a rare opportunity to photograph every detail of the bike. The 2025 spec RSGP isn't exactly new, as the bike was already seen in public at the Barcelona test in November. Both reigning champion Martin and three-time Grand Prix winner Bezzecchi got to try out the new Aprilia bike for the first time in the official Dorna test. And their feedback made it clear that the bike is way better than the version ridden by Aleix Espargaro and Maverick Vinales last season. The two bike frames shown at the Milan launch last Thursday are going to be used in the 2025 season. During the winter break, Aprilia made some updates, and the bike on display in Italy looked different from the one tested by Martin and Bezzecchi in Barcelona more than 2 months ago. The front of the new RSGP has a different wing shape, thanks to Aprilia's work in its wind tunnel. The goal was to provide the same load, but with less wind drag. The twin wings are still there, but they're more curved and have a more noticeable hole in the center. The upper part of the fairing seen on the 2024 model is gone. The new wing works harmoniously with the fork wing, which is now separate from the fork itself, and the overall design is more functional, generating airflow directed towards the rider's body. At the bottom of the Brembo brake calipers, there's a downforce feature which is key when the bike is tilted in a sideways position. Another interesting thing is the butterfly-like component placed under the radiator in the V-shaped chassis mount. Its job is to capture the cold air drawn from the top of the front wheel and channel it downwards. This carbon device is normally used to collect fresh air, but now it's being used for aerodynamic purposes. It might change by the time the pre-season tests begin in February. Aprilia has always been pretty innovative when it comes to aerodynamics, thanks to the know-how of former Ferrari engineer Marco De Luca. But this time, it looks like they're going to follow Ducati's lead with the diffuser component on the side of the fairing. The diffuser on the Desmosedity is on the outside of the fairing, but Aprilia's diffuser is on the inside. The fairing has a vertical step design that leads to the front of the winglet, and the shape of the fairing at the bottom is designed to ensure maximum downforce when the bike is at an angle. This is an example of Aprilia's efforts to design effective airflow. Modern MotoGP bikes have become heat generators, and riders are exposed to very hot air during races. This has been a big problem for Aprilia in recent years, and it can actually affect their performance. So, the engineers have made changes to help with heat removal. On the new RSGP, we can see a 5-element grille blade that directs hot air downwards, moving heat away from the rider's body. The carbon sides look like reinforcements, but they're actually channels that draw in fresh air and channel it to 2 important points. The right side cools the exhaust, while the left side helps keep the fuel cool in the tank further back on the bike. Moving on to the rear, we can see the work done to clean up the air irregularities in the lower exhaust area and the swing arm, which are addressed with carbon fiber pads. Last year, this was even better, but now it's been optimized. From above, you can see the bike's true wing profile at the tail. This helps improve efficiency by reducing air drag. The tail section has 2 air intakes and 2 vertical fins that serve different functions depending on the rider's posture. This is an area that's expected to see a lot of innovation, as is the rear diffuser. Espargaro and Vinales had resisted this development, but since they're older riders, they're less likely to accept the radical aerodynamics that Aprilia could develop. Martin and Bezzecchi, on the other hand, are probably going to go for more extreme solutions, which might mean changing up their riding style to handle higher performance. The Aprilia RSGP in Milan is a bike that's been dialed in to be super stable, as Fabiano Sterlacchini put it. It's got a front end that's really stable, but it feels a bit unstable in other parts of the bike. If the riders find the right balance, we'll probably see some bold new ideas in development. Otherwise, Ducati will probably stay ahead of the pack.